Hello everyone. In this video we will discuss about SRTF, means shortest remaining time first. Okay, it is also like SJF only. In SJF what happens? There will be no preemption. No preemption means what? If one process is given with the CPU, then that process will be terminated only after the execution. Okay, no other process will come in the middle. Okay, it will execute completely. But here in SRTF what happens, it will also execute in the same way like SJF, but in the middle if any process comes with the shortest burst time, shortest execution time, then at that moment the process will be preempted. Means let us think some process is executing. Okay, let us think some P2 process is executing. Okay, P2 process burst time is like 6 and P1 process burst time is 3. When this process is executing, in the middle if P1 process is arrived with the shortest burst time, then this process is removed from the CPU and CPU will be allocated to the P1 process. Okay, if any process comes with the shortest burst time, then shortest burst time process will be preempted. Okay, how that is we will see now. So these are the 5 processes we have taken. This is the process ID and these are the arrival times of these processes and these are the burst time of these processes. Burst time is nothing but execution time. How much time it is needed to execute that process is nothing but burst time. So we require a Gantt chart for this. So this is the Gantt chart. Okay. Now let us discuss how it works. So first what happens, which process is arrived here first? We have to check the arrival time. What is the arrival time of P4? 0. See, at 0th time P4 process came. Though the ID of this process is P4, but still arrival time is 0. So there is no other chance but you have to take the P4 process because it has come in the ready queue first. Though it is having P1 process is having shortest burst time, as it is arriving, as it is going to arrive at the second unit of time, you cannot give the CPU at the 0th unit of time. You have to give P4 process only because P4 process is in the ready queue at 0th time. So first we will take the P4 process. Okay. Now as P4 process is in the ready queue, we will take the P4 process. What is the burst time of P4 process? 6. Okay. Now we will only go with one unit of time to each and every process. So we will execute this P4 process for only 1 unit of time, that is 1. So how much is left over? Here 5. Remaining 5 is there. Okay. So after this, which process came at the first unit of time? Let us see which processes came at the first unit of time. P1 process. P2 process has come at the first unit of time. P2 process came at the first unit of time. So let us see the burst time. What is the burst time of P2 process? 5. And what is the burst time of P4 process? It is also 5. So those two processes is having the same burst time. Then which one has to be taken? You have to check the arrival time. Okay. First, whichever the process came first, that process will be given with the CPU. So here, as P4 process arrived at the 0th unit of time and the burst time of P2 and P4 are same, we have to give chance to the P4 process only based on the arrival time. When these two processes is having a tie, in that time we have to check the arrival time. As P4 process came first, so P4 process is again given with one more chance. Okay, again it will be executed for 1 unit of time, that is 1 to 2. Okay, now we have to check again at the second unit of time which process has come. Which process is come? P2 process has come and P5 process is also there. So in the ready queue, P1 process and P5 process both are there. Okay. So at the second unit of time, two processes came in the ready queue, that is P1 and P5. Now you have to check the burst time. Which process is having the shortest burst time? P1 process. As P1 process is having the shortest burst time, we will execute the P1 process. For how much time? Only 1 unit of time, that is 2 to 3. Now again in the third unit of time, you have to check which process is at the ready queue. At the third unit of time, any process came? No. No process came at third unit of time. Here P1 process is given with 1 unit of time and the burst time of the P1 is 1. So P1 process is removed from the ready queue. This process is executed completely. So P1 process is removed from the ready queue. Okay. Now at the third unit of time, as no process came in the ready queue, we have to go with the P5 process. Okay. We have to go with the P5 process. We have to go with the P5 process because P5 process is having the shortest burst time. So again P5 will be getting 1 unit of time, that is from 3 to 4. Okay. So P5 process is given with 1 unit of time, means here more 2 units of time is needed to execute it completely. So P5 is already in the ready queue. You cannot remove it. Okay. Now you have to check at the fourth unit of time any process has come or not. So here at the fourth unit of time any process came? Yes. P3 process came in the ready queue. Okay. Now we have P4, P2, P5 and P3. Okay. These many processes are there in the ready queue. Which has to be given the first priority? According to the burst time. Though P3 has come at the fourth unit of time, as it is having the lowest burst time, definitely P3 has to be given with the CPU because it is having the lowest burst time. That is nothing but shortest remaining time first with preemption. With preemption. Okay. You can call this SRTF as with preemption. SJF with preemption. Now in my previous video we have seen SJF, that is with no preemption. But here SRTF is otherwise called as SJF with preemption. Okay. SJF with preemption. Now what happened? P3 process is in the ready queue. As it is having the shortest burst time, P3 is given with the CPU. Okay. So it will be executed for 1 unit of time, that is 4 to 5. As it is having only 1 unit of time, burst time, it is executed completely. So P3 process is also removed from the ready queue because it has executed completely. Okay. Remaining what is there? P4, P2 and P5. These 3 processes are there. So now what is the shortest burst time for in this P4, P2 and P5? P4, P2, P5. What is the shortest burst time? P5 is having the shortest burst time, that is 2. Already it is given one chance here P5. So it is executed 1 unit of time and remaining time is left only 2 units. So now again P5. So as we no other in future is any process going to come at any unit of time? No, only these processes are there. In future no other process will come. So that is why we will execute this completely. How much time is needed for this to execute completely? P5 process 2 unit of time. So we will execute it completely by giving 2 unit of time instead of 1 unit of time. 2 unit of time means 7. Okay. Now P5 process has executed completely. So what are remaining? P5 process is also executed. P4 and P2. Out of P4 and P2 processes, which process is having the shortest burst time? That we have to check before executing, before taking that process in the Gantt chart. We have to check the burst time to execute or take the process into the Gantt chart. So here P4, if you see, firstly we have executed 1 unit of time, so it became 5. After that again P4 has given with the CPU according to the arrival time. So what happened? It became 4. Okay, 2 times P4 has got the CPU, so 2 units of time it has executed. Now the remaining time is only 4. But what is the burst time of P2? 5. So P4 is having the shortest burst time when compared to P2. That is why P4 is given the chance. Okay. Now P4 also will execute completely because no other process is going to come in the ready queue. So how much time is needed for P4 process to execute? 4 units of time. So 11. Okay. So P4 also removed from the queue. Only P2 is left over here. What is the burst time of P2? 5. So now here P2 will execute completely with the 5 units of time. So this is how SRTF works. Now after this we have to calculate completion time, turnaround time, waiting time, response time. So these are the things now we have to calculate. So now we will calculate them one by one. What is meant by completion time means when the process is completed, at what unit of time the process is completed, we have to check. We'll first go with P1 process. When P1 process is completed, if you want to check out that, you have to go to the Gantt chart. You have to check the right side of the P1. So first we have to check P1 process is here. Anywhere P1 is there? No. So when P1 is completed, at the third unit of time, you have to check the right side of the process. So at third unit of time, P1 process is completed. And P2, where is the last P2 here? P2 is here. At which unit of time P2 has completed its execution? 16. P3 process, where is the P3? Here. Okay, P3 has completed its execution at the 5th unit of time. Okay, and P4, where is the P4? Here. P4 is executed here, here, and finally here. So we will calculate this only because these are the first executions, but here it did not complete execution perfectly. So here only P4 has executed completely. So that is why we will take this value only. Right side value 11. And P5 process. Where is this P5 process? P5 process is here. But here P5 process did not complete the execution perfectly. So where it has completed? Here. At the 7th unit of time, P5 process has completed its execution. Okay. That is nothing but completion time. Now what is turnaround time? Turnaround time means CT minus AT. Completion time minus arrival time. You just have to you have to subtract these values. Okay, already in my previous videos I have explained, you can watch there. So now turnaround time means completion time minus arrival time. 3 minus 2 1, 16 minus 1 15, 5 minus 4 1, 11 minus 0 11, 7 minus 2 5. And coming to the waiting time, when process has come into the ready queue and how much time it has waited in the ready queue, that is nothing but waiting time. So what is waiting time? Turnaround time minus burst time. Turnaround time minus burst time. 1 minus 1 0, 15 minus 5 10, 1 minus 1 0, 11 minus 6 5, 5 minus 3 2. This is nothing but waiting time. And coming to the response time, when the process has come in the ready queue and when it got the CPU. Okay, that is nothing but response time. So P1 process, where is the P1 process? Here. So P1 process is got the CPU at the second unit of time. P1 process got the CPU at the second unit of time. And when P1 process has come at the second unit of time, so the value will be 0. Soon after coming, P1 process has got the CPU. So that is why the response time for P1 process is 0 only. And for P2, when the P2 process has got the CPU at the 11th unit of time. Okay, at the 11th unit of time, P2 process has got the CPU. But when it has arrived at the 1 unit of time, so totally how much time it has to be, it has waited there, 11 minus 1, 10. Okay, next P3. When P3 got the CPU at the 4th unit of time. Okay, and when P3 process has come at the 4th unit of time itself. Soon after P3 came, P3 got the CPU first. So 4 minus 4, 0. 4 minus 4, 0. P4 process. When the P4 process got the CPU first at the 0th time. Okay, you have to calculate the left one. So at the P4, so in the Gantt chart also P4 process has got the CPU first. And here arrival time is 0. Means 0 minus 0, 0. You have to always remember, when you calculate completion time, you have to check the right side values. And when you calculate the response time, you have to go with the left side values. Okay. So 0 minus 0, 0. And P5 process, when it got the CPU first at the 5th unit of time. And when P5 process has arrived at the second unit of time. So here 3 minus 2 means P3 P5 process. So this is the P5 process. P5 process got the CPU at the 3rd unit of time, and the arrival time of P5 is 2. Means 3 minus 2 means 1. This is nothing but response time. This is how you will calculate the response time. You can also calculate the remaining values like average turnaround time and average waiting time. You know very well how to calculate average turnaround time, average waiting time. Means you add all these values total by number of processes. How many processes are there? 5. It will give the average turnaround time. And average waiting time is also same. You have to add all these values total by number of processes. This will give the average waiting time. This is how it performs in SRTF. Okay. So SRTF is nothing but SJF with preemption. SJF with preemption is nothing but SRTF. In last videos we have discussed SJF with no preemption. Okay. So this is the difference between SJF and SRTF. Okay. Thank you.